Global governance is the capacity within the international system at any given moment to provide government-like services and public goods in the absence of a government. It is the combination of informal and formal ideas, values, rules, norms, procedures, practices, policies, and organizations that help all actors, state IGOs, civil society, NGOs, TNC, and individuals identity understand and address transboundary problems. Global governance is a means to manage issues that cut across national borders, whether it is a war, a pandemic, a financial crisis, climate change, or a geoeconomic dispute. Global governance encompasses activities that transcend national boundaries at the international, transnational, and regional levels and is based on rights and rules that are enforced through a combination of economic and moral incentives. The goal of global governance, roughly defined, is to provide global public goods, particularly peace and security, justice and mediation system for conflict, functioning markets, and unified standards for trade and industry.
The uncertainty of sovereign territorial state or national state. Since the end of the Cold War, the world has been moving toward a less centralized form of governance. As the United States suffered significant setbacks in its war in Iraq and Afghanistan, many emerging powers including China, Russia, and Brazil have formed regional alliances to establish a multipolar and anti-hegemonic order. The geopolitical situation that arises when several power centers balance each other out is referred to as multipolarity, and anti-hegemony is the attempt to challenge or dismantle hegemonic power. In other words, it is a confrontation with or opposition to the existing status quo and its legitimacy in politics, but it can also be seen in history, the media, music, and other areas of life. This is being referred to as the start of the post-American world, in which the United States retreats while the rest of the world gains economic and political power. This is in contrast to the type of political entity that shape our lives. The sovereign territorial state, also known as a nation state. Most Western countries have been in this state since the late 18th century, if not earlier. This type of state has evolved into a global framework for social development. However, after centuries of serving as a model for most, if not all, sovereign states, this type of state has entered a period of uncertainty. As a review, the notion of nation-state has the followings. A. Continuous and broken territory, preferred. B. Sovereign territory. C. The state has a monopoly and on both law and the power of coercion. D. The national state rules its citizens or subjects directly and not through intermediate authorities. E. Direct government and administrations of inhabitants by the central authorities of the nation-state. F. The state is considered to represent people and the people serve as a source of sovereignty or at least give the state legitimacy. And last, G. That citizenry was or ought to form a homogeneous population. However, the rigidity imposed by this age-old arrangement has been ignored multiple times in global events, most notably the fall of the Soviet Union, the emergence of transitory entities within nations, global issues necessitating global solutions, nowadays supranational and infranational forces, as well as what may be regarded as the disengagement of its population from citizenship, have eroded the state's powers and functions. The state has been undermined in three ways as a result of these supranational forces. Number one, the creation of a supranational economy wherein the transactions are largely uncontrolled by states, resulting in the restriction of states to direct national economies. Number two, rise of regional or global institutions such as the European Union, ASEAN, and UN to which individuals, countries differ either because they are too small to engage in effective competition, international competition, or because their economies are so weak. And lastly, number three, territorial borders had been made largely irrelevant by technology revolution in transport and communication.
The rise of non-state. A huge rise in the non-state actors is required from the occurrence above mentioned. These international organizations in the public and private sectors are set with higher objectives and goals to participate in global governance and improve lives. This rise also created a new landscape and new architectures of global governance, wherein multi-sector partnerships are present. So, such as transitional business, further the loose structures of these organizations allow more efficient courses of actions than the bureaucracies of nation-states can attain. The worth of non-state actors has meant more diversity in potential players and partners. The proposition of actors that are legitimately representing stakeholders and contributing concretely to contemporary global problem-solving means that we have come a long way from the state-centric model and traditional international relations. The profile of non-state actors has ushered in an age global partnership between private and public bodies in Pacific issue. These non-state actors are territories group which today possess great power. Energized by globalization and democratizations of technology to balance the powers of states. They utilize globalization and democratization era to organize, create image, build network, fund, and disseminate their activities around the globe, starting in the 1980s and accelerating in more recent years. However, global governance has become increasingly transnationalist, meaning that it involves in growing number of non-state actors, operating at different levels from the local to the regional and global non-state actors play a major role in the foreign policy making of a nation state and significantly influence their foreign policy behaviors. The rise of non-state. A huge rise in the non-state actors is required from the occurrence above mentioned. These international organizations in the public and private sectors are set with higher objectives and goals to participate in global governance and improve lives. This rise also created a new landscape and new architectures of global governance, wherein multi-sector partnerships are present. So, such as transitional business, further the loose structures of these organizations allow more efficient courses of actions than the bureaucracies of nation-states can attain.
One important example of non-state actor, an international government organization playing a vital role in the world affairs, is the United Nations. The United Nations is designed to make enforcement of international law and security, human rights, economic development, and social progress easier for countries around the world. Ang United Nations o nagkakaisang bansa ay isang organisasyon ng malayang bansa na binuo upang itaguyod ang kaunlaran at kapayapaang pandaigdig. Ito ay tinatag noong October 24, 1945 sa San Francisco, California, United States ng 51 na bansa na itinuturing na founding members. Sa kasukluyan, 193 ang lahat ng bansa kasapi na sa United Nations at 2 nag-oobserbang mga estado. Naging Pangulo ng Estados Unidos na si Franklin Delano Roosevelt ang pangunahing sa pangalan ng United Nations. Ito ay unang ginamit sa deklarasyon ng United Nations noong January 1, 1942 na pinirmahan ng 26 na kinatawan ng bansa noong panahon ng ikalawang digmaang pandaigdig para sa karagdagang kaalaman tungkol sa mga bansang hindi kasapi sa United Nations. Pangunahing mga kinatawan ng United Nations. Pangkahalatang kapulungan ng mga nagkakaisang bansa ang General Assembly. Kapulungan pansiguridad ng mga nagkakaisang bansa ang Security Council. Sangguniang pang-ekonomiko at panlipunan ng mga nagkakaisang bansa ang Economic and Social Council. Konseho na nagkakatiwala ng mga nagkakaisang bansa ang Trusteeship Council. Secretariat ng mga nagkakaisang bansa ang Secretariat. Pandaigdig yung hukuman, katarungan, International Court of Justice.
The G20 and a new framework for global cooperation. As reiterated above, in a globally integrated world economy, the need for global collective action and stability is almost universally recognized. The G20 is a group of 20. The proposed new framework for global economic cooperation with a competent and accountable coordination body, the G20, and connected to ensure that the global economy continues to grow inclusively to benefit all nations and the peoples equitably. The Group of 20, G20, is the premier forum for international economic cooperation. It plays an important role in shaping and strengthening global architecture and governance on all major international economic issues. The Group of 20, an informal gathering of many of the world's largest economies, is the premier global forum for discussing economic issues, but it has faced division over trade, climate change, and the war in Ukraine. The G20, formed in 1999, is a group of 20 of the world's largest economies that meets regularly to coordinate global policy on trade, health, climate, and other issues. Previous summits have addressed the COVID-19 pandemic, 2008 financial crisis, the Iranian nuclear program, and the Syrian civil war. The Russian invasion of Ukraine deepened division within the group and its struggle to find consensus on economic issues at its 2022 summit in Bali, Indonesia. The Group of 20, G20, is the premier intergovernmental forum for international economic cooperation. The forum plays an important role in shaping and strengthening global architecture and governance on all major international economic issues. The core, the rise of non-state actors, the United Nations, the G20, and a new framework for global cooperation function, structure, membership, and ties to the UN G20 within the wider new framework for global economic cooperation includes the following integral function. The Group of 20 comprises 19 countries and the European Union. The G20 members represent around 85% of the global GDP, over 75% of the global trade, and about two-thirds of the world's population. The G20 is the latest in a series of post-World War II initiatives aimed at international coordination of economic policy, which include institutions such as the Bretton Woods Twins, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, and what is now the World Trade Organization. Number 1. Facilitate multi-stakeholder, cross-disciplinary dialogue and policy solution. This makes it easier to promote their economy to be recognized not only in their country but also recognized by the countries that are part of the Group of 20. Number 2. Promote inclusive economic reform. Growth is inclusive if it supports high levels of employment and rising wage. For developing countries, it means acquiring competitiveness in new sectors and technologies. Policies to support inclusive growth have to address significant market failures and have a mixed record across countries. Number 3. Enable global economic crisis response. The G20 emerged as the principal forum for coordinating an international response to the global financial and economic crisis of 2007 to 2008. This intergovernmental body, formed in 1999, comprises the world's 20 largest economies, representing around 90% of global GDP. Global challenge require global response. International forums and the national frameworks to work together to find effective solutions to common problems. The Buenos Aires Summit give us the opportunity to discuss these critical issues in a constructive and cooperative manner, and Italy will do its part.